Now Gaddafi is threatening new moves against the United States, while Secretary of State Shultz warns force against Libya may yet be necessary. But so far, this war remains a war of words.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Threats, accusations, outrage, name-calling. They were the common language between the United States and Libya once again today. In Libya, Muammar Gaddafi once again raised the prospect of an American military strike against his country, and he boasted that he could unite other forces to remove the U.S. military presence from the Mediterranean. NBC's Stephen Frazier is in Tripoli tonight, and he has more on the Gaddafi threats, as well as the reaction of Americans who work in that country.
Muammar Gaddafi said his advisors were considering the seizure of American assets here and other steps to counter economic sanctions imposed against Libya.
They deserve a response in kind. Not only a Libyan response, but also an Arab and an international response at the same time.
Gaddafi said again Libya would send suicide squads to America in response to an attack on Libya, but not in response to the trade embargo.
Suicidal attacks will have to be an answer to a military attack. But Libya is not affected by such measures that Reagan has declared.
He said Reagan was motivated by a hatred of Arabs and Islam, reminiscent of the Crusades.
Stinking, rotten crusader. This hostile position cannot be explained in racist and crusade terms.
As Gaddafi spoke, Libyan television sent abroad these pictures it said showed an anti-American demonstration in Tripoli today. But no foreign diplomat or journalist saw any demonstration, and Americans living here said there was no danger. At the oil company school, where American and other foreign children study, this American teacher said she's staying.
I'm not worried about breaking the law. It's unconstitutional. The president can't do that.
Do you have any sense that a lot of Americans or any Americans are going to leave this time?
A few. It's just they feel they have to. Nobody wants to go home and be in jail for 10 years, So.
At least one American company has ordered home the families of Americans here, but the decision of some workers to defy the president's order and the unwillingness of European allies to join in economic sanctions have encouraged Gaddafi. He said tonight this confrontation has been some help to him. Stephen Frazier, NBC News, Tripoli.
Gaddafi, who has denied any formal Libyan connection to those terrorist attacks in the Rome and Vienna airports, met today with the representatives of those European countries which have refused to join an American economic boycott of Libya. That Libyan connection and the role of the Europeans were at the top of the agenda when Secretary of State Shultz appeared before reporters late today in Washington. NBC's Ann Garrels tells us now that he also raised the possibility of a U.S. military strike.
Secretary of State Shultz admitted today that U.S. sanctions alone will not stop Libyan-backed terrorism, and he suggested that other measures may be necessary.
We are prepared to use the measures that will be effective and are necessary. Force is not always the best means, but it may be necessary on occasion.
In a last-ditch effort to get more support for U.S. sanctions, Shultz is sending his deputy, John Whitehead, to Europe. At the very least, the administration wants assurances the Europeans won't move in where American businesses have pulled out. But Shultz is not optimistic.
I agree with you that we haven't had a lot of success in persuading people to that view.
About Gaddafi's role in the Rome and Vienna attacks, Shultz has no doubt.
So he is involved. He is a terrorist.
His evidence? Libya confiscated passports from these Tunisian workers. Later, they were used by the terrorists in Vienna. It's economics, not a lack of evidence, said Shultz, which bothers the Europeans.
Well, I'm convinced, no doubt whatever, of Gaddafi's involvement in terrorist activity. And I must say, from all the reports that I've had from our European friends and the information that flows in, nobody is really quarreling with that.
When asked if the U.S. would take harsher measures if the Europeans don't join in, Shultz replied,
"Not making any comment."
Privately, officials say the Europeans are being given a choice: support economic and diplomatic sanctions now to stop Gaddafi, or face the more costly option, military action, sometime down the road. Ann Garrels, NBC News, the State Department.
While that rhetorical combat was going on between Gaddafi and Schultz, several international airports were beefing up their security today, just in case. In London, uniformed troops were stationed at Heathrow, and inside the terminal, a startling sight. Bobbies, British police, who usually are unarmed, carrying submachine guns. In Athens, the heightened security was even more conspicuous. Armored personnel carriers. There were similar step-ups in airport security in Rome and in Frankfurt, West Germany. And the man believed to be responsible for the Achille Lauro hijacking, Abu Abbas, is quoted in the Irish Times newspaper today as saying that there will be a meeting soon to discuss what he called an international war against United States terrorism. A spokesman for the paper said this interview was conducted by a British writer well connected in the Middle East. Also coming up on this program tonight, Steve Delaney with the story of a war in the cockpit of a commuter plane, a vicious fight between an angry passenger and a Vietnam veteran. And Robert Hager tonight on the fare war in the air, drastic cuts in the cost of flying these days.
In your move up the corporate ladder, you've always known where you were going. And how to get there.
Does uric acid work fast enough?
It seems to take forever.
Does uric acid last long enough?
No, I've got to take it again.
Maybe uric acid isn't strong enough. Try new double-strength Mylanta 2. Mylanta 2 has nearly double the antacid medicine, nearly double the anti-gas medicine, nearly double the acid-neutralizing power of any leading brand.
That's real relief, with the double strength difference.
Double strength, that's my kind of difference.
New Mylanta 2.
The pride is back. Born in America. The pride is back. Born in America.
Plymouth shows you why the pride is back. Plymouth Reliant K, 6-passenger room, Plymouth's 550 protection plan. Front-wheel drive Reliant K.
The pride is back. Born in America. Again.
Now get low financing of $500 to $1,000 back on select Chrysler Plymouth models.
The chaotic scene in the cockpit of a 19-seat commuter plane was every flyer's nightmare. A passenger, apparently furious because the pilot asked him to put out a cigarette, lunged for the controls and forced the plane to nosedive 2,000 feet. NBC's Steve Delaney reports on what happened.
The commuter plane, a de Havilland Otter like this one, was a few minutes out of Atlantic City with 5 passengers bound for Islip, New York. The trouble started over the Atlantic at 3,500 feet. One of the passengers threw himself onto the pilot's control column, tossing the plane into a nosedive toward the ocean.
If I hadn't had help from the passengers, I really feel we would have crashed.
I saw the man there holding the controls. I grabbed him by the arm and I hollered for Bob to come over. And
I went around his head like this, and I put my finger in his eye, and I pulled back like this. As I pulled back, I just, from the back of my back of the shirt, I started smashing him with my right hand.
Well, you damaged yourself a little bit, didn't you?
Yes, I fractured my hand, but I consider that a piece of cake compared to what could have happened. When I realized what the man almost took our lives, I just kept hitting him till I couldn't hit him no more. And I really didn't care if he died. It was like I immediately felt like I was back in Vietnam all over again. It was a life and death situation, and there was a job to be done, and I did it.
The attacker, John Gary Johnson of Newark, was in federal court today, and the U.S. attorney got him confined for a psychiatric evaluation.
That's right. He also indicated that he regretted the fact that he hadn't had a couple more seconds, because if he had, it would have been all over.
If Johnson is competent to face trial, he could get 20 years for trying to crash the plane. Steve Delaney, NBC News, New York.
This is a time of many tragedies on America's farms, but in Elk Point, South Dakota, a whole family was wiped out. Bruce Litchfield, a supervisor for the Farmers Home Administration, killed his wife and 2 children and then killed himself. NBC's Jim Cummins reports tonight that he did leave a suicide note.
Today there was fresh evidence that Bruce Litchfield, his wife and 2 children are the latest victims of the economic crisis in the Farm Belt. Before killing his family and himself, Litchfield wrote a note that said his job as a farm loan supervisor had put pressure on his mind, pain on the left side. Litchfield, who ran the local Farmers Home Administration office, had recently been depressed about having to collect loan repayments from his friends and neighbors.
Bruce was the type of an individual that took his work home with him. He took his work too seriously, and that was part of Bruce's problem.
This is only the latest sign of desperation caused by the tension between farmers and lenders. Last month, Iowa farmer Dale Burr desponded over his debts, killed his wife, a neighbor, the local bank president, and himself. And the emotional strain is getting worse daily for about 90,000 farmers like Gary Barrett, who can't make enough money to pay back the Farmers Home Administration, the lender of last resort.
I've been fighting FHA for 4 years. FHA uses, they're in no hurry. They'll wear you down and kick you around, and hopefully you'll throw up your hands and quit.
Remember that the Farmers Home Administration is the lender of last resort. And so when you're already with the lender of last resort, there aren't very many other places you could turn to for credit.
Later this month, that lender of last resort plans to send out foreclosure notices to all those farmers who are more than $100 behind in their payments. Jim Cummins, NBC News.
The federal government reported today that during 1985, America's farm population dropped by 7%, 400,000 people altogether. And among families still on the farm, almost 1/4 are living below the poverty level. Federal health officials estimate that the first 10,000 cases of AIDS in this country have cost the United States more than $6 billion. That includes medical bills and lost income. So far, AIDS has been diagnosed in 16,000 patients. More than half of them have died. Researchers at Harvard reported today that the risk of cancer is much lower for women who are college athletes than for their less active sisters. The less active women are twice as likely to develop cancer of the breast or reproductive system.
Do you think effective antacid medicine can taste good?
Sure, when it's Remigel. Tastes better than any antacid I've ever tried. What a job it does on my heartburn.
Hey, no chalky taste and liquid relief in every Remigel tablet.
I never thought an antacid could taste this good and work.
New great-tasting Remigel. Soft and chewy with the same effective relief for acid indigestion and heartburn as 2 teaspoons of the leading liquid.
Relief never tasted so good.
New Remigel. Liquid relief in every great-tasting tablet.
In my travels around the world, I've found no 2 countries alike. No 2 governments alike. There's a lot for governments to disagree on. But 31 governments have found at least one thing they can agree on. The power of Sperry computer systems to make government manageable. Now, if 31 countries can agree on that, who knows what else?
It begins with a simple touch. A touch of oil of Olay. Feel how sheer and light it is as it penetrates quickly, replenishing youthful fluids, giving your skin a delightful vibrance, a younger look, an Oil of Olay look. Just a touch, but it's the one that performs wonders for 50 million women throughout the world. Oil of Olay. It can help keep you looking younger too, now also in luxuriant cream.
The leader of the outlawed African National Congress warned today that that guerrilla group will step up its attacks in South Africa. Oliver Tambo issued his warning in Zambia, and South Africa apparently took it seriously, permitting its media to report the ANC's remarks, which are usually banned in that country. NBC's John Cochran reports tonight that there are no guarantees that civilians will be spared.
The man who got away, Oliver Tambo, who fled from arrest in South Africa 26 years ago, now in exile in Zambia, heading the African National Congress, the ANC, whose guerrillas once took elaborate precautions to avoid hurting white civilians, but no longer.
We're moving away from this level of precaution. And we'll continue, of course, to calculate on what will this mean for civilians. And we are absolutely certain that many civilians will be caught in the crossfire.
White South African civilians are already dying. One was buried today after his truck was blown up by a landmine. The ANC claims his death was justified because he was in an area where white farmers keep watch for guerrillas who crossed the nearby border from a black country. The ANC is based in Zambia because it is banned in South Africa. Its guerrillas are trained at camps in other black states, Angola and Tanzania. And although the ANC denies it is primarily a communist organization, some go to Moscow for special training in subversion and sabotage. The ANC refuses to take responsibility for the Christmas explosion at a shopping mall where 5 whites died. But the ANC admits some of its underground members may have planted the bomb without getting permission from headquarters in Zambia.
It's fair to say this. I didn't rejoice. But there were celebrations in South Africa among the black people.
As late as 1960, the ANC was a nonviolent organization. But its leader, Nelson Mandela, gave up on nonviolence and authorized limited sabotage. Mandela was caught and sentenced to life imprisonment. Some young blacks thought the ANC was too soft, too reluctant to hurt whites. Young militants became more powerful within the ANC. The ANC's new strategy marks the end of a long debate among its top leaders. The moderates have argued that killing civilians would only lose support for the black struggle. Radicals have argued that the only way to win is to terrorize all whites in South Africa. The radicals came out on top. John Cochran, NBC News, Lusaka, Zambia.
The AFL-CIO today went after Shell Oil to get its European parent corporation out of South Africa. The Labor Federation called on consumers to boycott all Shell products, saying blood and oil don't mix, and it urged Americans to cut in half their Shell credit cards. For its part, the American Shell subsidiary said it does not operate in South Africa. It denounced apartheid. Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger continued an offensive of his own today, charging that the Soviet Union had now deployed a total of 45 new long-range missiles, he said, in violation of the SALT II treaty. He made the charge while campaigning against efforts in Congress to scale back increases in military spending that the administration wants.
Beautiful dinner, Tony. Can't wait to eat.
I can't wait to clean this messy oven.
That'll take forever.
Wrong. Today's Easy Off Oven Cleaner makes short work of tough soils. Like roast beef splutters, casserole drippings, gooey apple pie.
Ooh.
Just spray. Only Easy Off Oven Cleaner has this advanced grease-penetrating formula. Lifts up, baked on spills. One easy wipe. Beautiful.
Dinner?
Go ahead. I'll stay here a while. Easy Off Spray or try Easy Off Oven Pad. Fast and easy. That's Easy Off.
No two offices are exactly alike, but they all have one thing in common. They not only have to look right, they have to function right, right down to the copiers. For some, that means a personal copier. For others, a full-featured compact copier, or a high-performance system, or even the laser copier of the future at work right now. For these and everything in between, only one company gives business so many choices. In copiers, the choice is Canon.
Come take a trip in a 1986 luxury car built for the 1990s, Cadillac DeVille. Cadillac comfort and roominess, of course. But this Cadillac offers more. It thinks, monitors its own functions, keeps its driver apprised of changing conditions. The most sophisticated engineering and electronics of any DeVille ever. But this technological marvel retains classic luxury. Now available with 7.9% GMAC financing.
There is a new wrinkle in the latest fare war among the airlines in this country, senior citizens fares and their very big discounts. But as NBC's Robert Hager reports tonight, they're only one weapon in a fare war some airline people now are calling a bloodbath.
Paul Albarella had already bought a $235 ticket for his transcontinental flight from New York back home to San Diego. But when he checked in, he learned he could fly for a lot less.
Because of the new senior citizens fare,
yes,
it is now $65 from New York to San Diego. You have a refund of $170 coming back to you.
It's what I call a beautiful day. Continental Airlines uses a TV model in a bathtub to promote this new round of discounts it calls Cheap Frills. And to mock the no-frills flights of competitor People Express, uses a sketch of miserable passengers. In this era of deregulated fares and many more airlines, the companies are scrambling for business, afraid not to match a rival's every move. People started the latest cutting, offering coast-to-coast service for all ages for $99, one-way, non-stop. United reluctantly met that price, but only on certain days. TWA did the same, so did American. World Airways cut its transcontinental price to $90 even. And Eastern's fare westbound is $89, but passengers must be willing to fly in the middle of the night.
The price cutting was originally viewed by airlines as a way to pick up business during a normally slack few weeks of winter. But now the cheap fares have spread faster than expected and to hundreds of different routes, creating confusion and some panic among travel agents and some airline companies.
It's a dizzying number of new deals being announced so suddenly travel agents can't keep track, can't get them in their computers. Global Travel's Judy Long.
I still have to resort to picking up the phone and calling the airlines direct to verify what at this hour they are deciding to charge. It's a war.
A similar fare war 3 years ago left airlines in terrible financial shape. And although this one may not last beyond March, some are saying for the companies it could be a bloodbath. United's John Zeman.
When people use terms like bloodbath, what they're really saying is that it is not going to be profitable. It is going to result in red ink. And there is the analogy. And yes, it will not be profitable for anyone.
Except for travelers, such as Dorothy Lynn, moving from Houston to New York.
As a matter of fact, I waited till today because the fare went down again today.
Kathy Axmouth.
It's much better for us, much cheaper.
And certainly cheaper for Paul Albarella, arriving in San Diego after flying coast to coast for $65. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
John Chancellor is here for his commentary now. Tonight he's talking about why it's so hard to track down these international terrorists. John?
When Larry Speaks of the White House talks about international terrorists, he says, if we can find them, we'll get them. And there's the rub. How do you find them? Let's set aside the question of what happens if you find them in a country where getting them might involve an act of war. Let's focus on finding them. Take Abu Nidal's terror organization. It consists of 100 or 200 people. It's been in business for a dozen years. It's responsible for 181 murders, according to the government. It has cash, weapons, training grounds, passports, the works. Now, an ordinary citizen might say, look, don't these people send out for pizza, have their laundry done, go to the dentist, write home to their girlfriends? Can't the intelligence services of the civilized countries get a handle on them after 12 years? Well, the answer is no, and that's what you hear from congressional, academic, and professional experts on intelligence. Abu Nidal is tracked, but only after he's been somewhere. If he visits Damascus, in-place assets, which means Western spies, sometimes report that he's been there, but by then, he's somewhere else. Membership in his group is cyclical, which means terrorists join for a while and then leave, making them hard to trace. In some Arab countries, Abu Nidal goes through passport control with false papers. The local authorities know exactly who he is, but they don't tell the CIA or British intelligence. The Abu Nidals of this world have no home base. Their organizations are impenetrable because of language, religion, culture, and rage. Finding them is maybe the toughest challenge facing the West's intelligence services. And from what I've been able to learn, things aren't going to get much better in the near future.
I've got an awful headache. Where's my extra strength Bufferin?
Oh, I borrowed it from my back, all this lifting. Then Jim took it for a stiff elbow.
Backache? Stiff elbows? Jim, got my Bufferin?
Dave took it. Sore pitching arm.
My Bufferin for all that.
For headaches and a whole lot more, Extra Strength Bufferin goes to the heart of the pain with the strongest dose of pain reliever you can buy. Nothing relieves more aches and pains.
Ah, my Bufferin.
For headaches and a whole lot more, Extra Strength Bufferin, also in regular strength from Bristol-Myers.
He's your first child, we want to be there. It's your new house, we want to be there. You're working hard to make your dreams come true. Dean Witter wants to dream them with you.
No matter what goals you have in life, when Dean Witter helps plan your investments, you're treated special.
Everybody is somebody at Dean Witter.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
I'm Bryant Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today, the search for American MIAs in Vietnam.
I'm Jane Pauley. Also Lionel Richie and Ted Nugent.
Steven Spielberg, too. Tomorrow morning on Today.
Women have such busy schedules today with their work.
Now input your code.
And their families. There's no time for irregularity.
Come on, Mom, we'll have fun.
Not just now.
Okay.
Yet women suffer from constipation 3 times more often than men. That's why there's Correctol. Its special formula with calcium added combines a mild laxative with a softening agent. It works gently overnight to help you feel like yourself again.
Your sir's really improved, Mom.
Correctol, the gentle laxative so many women prefer.
When it's as cold as it is across much of the country tonight, there are all kinds of fancy gadgets to keep us warm. But nothing quite as satisfying as an old-fashioned quilt. The quilt began as a practical matter, of course, but as NBC's Kenley Jones tells us tonight, it grew into a folk art that has and is greatly appreciated.
It gets cold in the mountains of western North Carolina in the wintertime.
We used to have to make cover, you know, when it was real cold. We didn't have heat.
As a young girl growing up in the Bear Wallow community, Hetty Oakes learned to make quilts. She's still making them at age 88.
I have scraps that I've had since I was a child.
You grew up as a child of making a little string quilt, and it was called an iron patch. And then by the time you got to be a young lady, if you didn't have 3 ready for your oak chest, you're lazy.
83-year-old Azalee Prestwood says each quilt she has made with scraps of family clothing brings back memories.
Your daughter had a pair of pajamas like that and a school dress like that, and that was a boy's shirt, and that was my mother's dress.
In North Carolina, an effort is being made to document quilts as part of the state's cultural history. The purpose is to compile a permanent record of quilting as an art form.
And is there anything else we should know about this quilt? Well, it's just a North Carolina dogwood pattern is all. Okay.
Quilt owners are invited to bring their quilts to experts who examine them for size and fabric and pattern and try to determine who made the quilt, when and where, and whether it was made for everyday use or as a family heirloom.
4 generations have kept it. It has never been used. If I was not a Christian lady and the daughter of a Baptist minister, I would steal it because I'm on the wrong side of the family to inherit it.
Quilts have become recognized in recent years as more than homemade sources of warmth.
The kinds of quilts we see indicate that people had some desire for creativity and for beauty in their daily lives.
Creativity and beauty produced almost exclusively by women.
Not many women painted or sculpted, but it was okay for a woman to use a needle and thread and fabric and create.
What is it about quilts that makes them so desirable as collectibles?
I really don't know, unless it's something that reminds us of the old days that we would like to bring back.
Maybe that's the answer. In an age of computers and spaceships and Star Wars, quilts harken back to simpler times. Kenley Jones, NBC News, Hendersonville, North Carolina.
That's Nightly News for this Thursday. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Cheers, will Sam give away the shirt off his back?
Why don't you give them one of your old jock straps?
Too many memories. Then on a new night court, Dan's an escort for
Boys Are Us.
I'm charming, and I'm reasonably priced. And on an all-new Hill Street, will gunmen put Belcher's wedding plans on permanent hold?
Tonight.
Up next on the scene at 6, an angry correction commissioner says the department didn't do its job yesterday during an attempted prison escape. And an afternoon house fire leaves a Nashville man dead.
Also tonight, some of the people arrested in yesterday's auto theft sting say the arrests won't slow them down. And from Unit 4, we'll show you what to do if you want to see Halley's Comet.
These stories and more news coming up next on the scene at 6.
It's the diamond savings you've been looking for, as Bush Jewelers continues to keep marketing costs at a minimum.
Look at these brilliant diamond solitaires, like this 40-point solitaire.